And it's time for Lefties Losing It. And she's back, the diabolically dumb and delusional Joy Reid, who sadly was sacked from MSNBC. Even they got sick of her endless race baiting, and that's precisely what Joy is doing again. Listen to this nutty rant about, you guessed it, white people.
They can't fix the history they did. Their ancestors made this country into a slave hell. But they can clean it up now because they got the Smithsonian. They can get rid of all the slavery stuff. They got PragerU. They can lie about the history to the children. They can't originally invent anything more than they ever were able to invent good music. We black folk gave y'all country music, hip hop, R&B, jazz, rock and roll. They couldn't even invent that, but they have to call a white man the king, because they couldn't make rock and roll. So they have to stamp the king on a man whose main song was stolen from an overweight black woman.
Oh, she wasn't done yet. Brace yourself, because Joy is about to turn up the lefty lunacy to new levels. See if you can keep up with this stream of insanity.
When you invent a country where you don't tell white people that they need to innovate, even Elon Musk didn't invent them damn Teslas. 2 other men invented it. He just bought it. And so when you tell them you don't have to be excellent, you just have to be white, you will get mediocrity. You will get mediocrity because they're not asking white people to be great. They're not asking them to be great. They're telling them you can be the opposite of great and be defense secretary. You can be the opposite of great and be Homeland Security Secretary. They're telling white people a lie so that they will believe that they have achieved, when all they're doing is thieving greatness from other people. And I actually think that is a shame for white America, because if you raised your kids that way, you would get brats, you would get monsters, you would get demons you don't even want at Thanksgiving.
Yes, those demonic white children you want to avoid at Thanksgiving. Joy reckons white folk are just thieving, underachieving brats and monsters. Surely she can't get any crazier than that, or more abhorrently racist. But she can, and she will. We save the worst for last.
We're raising an America that is mediocre on purpose because we don't want to tell Donald Trump that he is a failure. But he is.
Yeah, that mad cackling really was the cherry on top. But during that unhinged commentary, you may have noted the dude listening intently. Now, if you were hoping he was going to inject some sanity, some facts, some sober analysis to refute Mad Bad Joy, well, you'll be disappointed. Let's hear from Mr. Ali.
How this is happening in real time and how this has always happened, how the fragility of a mediocre, terrified white men is destroying America, and how they have to make a level playing field for themselves. And it's all projection all the time. Like I just said right now, safe spaces for them, none for us.
Now, there is so much I can say about that would get me into enormous trouble, so I won't. But I think it's worth noting that the people of the world, whatever nationality or colour they may be, want to live in the West. We're not seeing Pakistan flooded with white people escaping mediocrity. That dude's parents came from Pakistan to America so he could have a better life. A little gratitude would go a long way. Now, someone who has had a charmed life is John F. Kennedy's grandson, Jack Schlossberg. But sadly, despite being a highly privileged member of the Kennedy clan, he is a TDS-afflicted clown. Here he mocks First Lady Melania Trump. This is embarrassing, folks.
A simple yet profound concept, Mr. Putin, as I'm sure you agree, is that each generation descendant begin their life with a purity, an innocence, which stands above geography, government, and ideology. What am I saying? This makes no sense. Please be more specific, Miss Melania Trump.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what he's doing there either. It's not funny, that's all. If it was funny, I'd forgive it. Now, let's have a look at how President Trump's tough-on-crime approach is polling in the US. The Democrats and the media are appalled. We are seeing meltdowns on CNN, MSNBC. Got protests in the streets, but it seems most Americans actually prefer less crime. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, I think that Democrats have to get it around their heads that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than they think that they are. What are we talking about? Trump's net approval handling crime. Where was he last year? He was way underwater at minus 13 points views of term number one. But look at where he is now. He's on the positive side of the ledger. He's on the positive side at plus 1 point. Americans view Trump far more favorably now on crime than they did a year ago. I think this sort of gives the game away here because Donald Trump is like Air Jordan towering over Joe Biden when it comes to their handling of crime. Look, in 2024, look at where Biden's net approval was on crime. Way underwater there at minus 26 points. It was one of Biden's worst issues. Granted, pretty much every issue was one of Biden's worst issues. And again, look at where Donald Trump is. Way, way, way above Joe Biden. What is that? That's 27 points. So Americans vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime than they did to Joe Biden.
Now, earlier today, Donald Trump met with a number of European allies to discuss an end to the Russian-Ukrainian war. Now, there's not much that's funny about that, but this next clip is a work of comedic genius. I know it's not real, but I like to pretend it is.
Okay, let's see who arrives now. This guy, they say he's the president of Finland, looking like the captain of a cruise ship. We need to get him a captain's hat later on. Okay, who the is this guy? These Europeans all look like accountants. Yes, sir. I come to do your taxes. Okay, thank you, sir. Ah, the British Prime Minister. They say this guy is gay. I don't know if that's true or not. I just think he's a dork. Hey, this guy is definitely gay, and his wife is a man, and she beats him. Well, poor guy. Giorgia Meloni. I love her. I told her and Elon that if they ever have a kid, they better name him Meloni. Ursula. I like that she calls me daddy. They all should when you think about it. Good day. I come to see my American daddy.
Joining me now is filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Now, we'll get to the serious discussion about today's peace talks shortly. But first, there's a new sheriff in town and she's called Janine, Judge Janine, and she ain't messing around. If you're some deranged Karen and think you're going to get away with threatening to kill the president, then Judge Janine is coming for you.
Just wanted to let you know here from the United States Attorney's Office in D.C. that an individual by the name of Nathalie Rose Jones is now in custody, charged with 2 federal crimes for knowingly and willfully threatening to take the life of the President of the United States. She did come from New York to Washington, D.C. Her threats were on Facebook and Instagram, and she continued to call the president a terrorist.
Ami, I'm all about the First Amendment, but threats of violence, threatening to kill the president, well, that's not protected speech.
No, it sure isn't. It never has been unless you are threatening to attack Jews under a Democratic administration. Otherwise, no. Look, how serious can we take her threats? I don't know. She made the first announcement on Facebook. Doesn't sound that serious to me. And she also said she had the ability to get a hold of a bladed object. Does she mean a knife? Yeah, that doesn't seem too hard to get your hands on. So yeah, get a cookie for that. Look, this is example number 456 of why the left loves to use violence, right? I mean, they have a propensity, a lust for violence in general. We've seen it over the years, over and over again, but also in particular, political violence, right? They always like to blame Trump, that he tries to drum up political violence in January 6th. Yeah, but you know what? It's the left. It's the Bernie Sanders supporters who try to shoot up or did shoot up a congressional baseball game, right? It was the left who sent somebody to kill a Supreme Court justice in his home, Brett Kavanaugh's home. And of course, it was the left who tried to assassinate Donald Trump, not once, but twice. There were no assassins that tried to kill Joe Biden. Well, I guess unless you include nature.
Oh, it's too soon for that joke, but it's very funny. And yeah, you're forgetting also, obviously, the summer of love, the $2 billion worth of damage and the 24 people who were killed in the BLM riots across the country. That was left-wing violence. We've got Antifa. So, yeah, it has become all too common. Now, let's go to less serious matters. Far-left network MSNBC has been widely mocked today for changing their name. They're now going to be called MS Now, which stands for My Source News Opinion World. But social media users had other names, and they called it Majorly Skewed News Overly Woke. Most Surely No One Watching. They were both popular on X, as well as BS Now instead of MS Now. Army, why the rebrand? Why are they going down this road?
Yeah, it sounds like Ms. Now, like some kind of feminist version of Mr. Right Now. I don't know. It just sounds very bizarre. The branding just kind of sucks. Look, it reminds me of when the WNBA about 12 years ago decided to change the color of its ball from traditional brown leather to, gag me, oatmeal and orange, thinking that maybe the thought process was that will help the ball get in the basket more. It didn't. Spoiler alert. It sounds like MSNBC is doing that they hope that they will get better ratings. Rita, I don't think I have to point out to you that your show on YouTube gets many more views than Rachel Maddow's show on YouTube, right? The most popular show on MSNBC. Not to mention that Fox News has 3 times the audience as MSNBC, both in prime time and throughout the day. So they're trying to grab something to change the dynamics here because they haven't been working in the past. Now, that's the real reason. The official reason is that, well, Comcast, the parent company of NBC Universal, is spinning off its cable assets into a separate entity, public entity called Versant, also a stupid name, because they're trying to gather as much value as they can from a declining asset. That asset is linear television. And also they want to make a distinction because MSNBC and NBC News are no longer sharing news gathering and no longer sharing assets. So that's the official reason. What's the real reason? You decide.
Now, earlier today, President Trump met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European allies at the White House to discuss an end to the Russian-Ukrainian war. And Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni praised President Trump for his leadership, noting something has changed.
Something has changed, thanks to you. Thanks also to the stalling in the battlefield, which was achieved with the bravery of Ukrainians and with the unity that we all provided to Ukraine.
But the Italian Prime Minister could barely hide her contempt for the German Chancellor. Just watch this, watch her eyes.
And let's try to put pressure on Russia, because the credibility of these efforts we are undertaking today are depending on at least a ceasefire from the beginning of the serious negotiations from next step on. So I would like to emphasize this.
Army, these talks came after President Trump's Alaska summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin 3 days ago. How do you see these latest developments?
Yeah, no, Meloni's right. A lot has changed. President Trump has done more in 200 days than Joe Biden did in 4 years. Despite that, you see how the media has been framing this, right? They've been framing this as failure after failure, capitulation to Putin. All the mainstream media has kind of gone after Trump as saying he's not getting the job done, when clearly everyone on the ground who's involved is saying quite the opposite. Look, what Trump did was this is what he does, right? He's a negotiator. He pivoted. So initially, the way he was going into these discussions was he was going to go for a ceasefire, and he was leaning towards that versus security guarantees. Then when he started talking to Putin, he saw an opportunity that Putin seemed to be more open to security guarantees than he was to a ceasefire. And look, that's why he's been going after security guarantees. I get why Ukraine values that very, very highly. And the reason why they do, I get it, is because when they were coming out of the break of the Soviet Union, there was something called the Budapest Memorandum. Something that I don't think we've talked about enough. It was the West, the United States and Europe, gave to Ukraine an assurance of national sovereignty. If you give up your nuclear weapons, we will make sure that your borders will stay secure against the predation of Russia. And of course, we just blew that off. And when Russia rolled in, Europeans did nothing, essentially. And under democratic administrations, they did nothing. So I understand why Ukrainians are looking and want that specifically. And that's what Trump is trying to offer them. But at the same time, look, I want to make sure we should be very careful about security guarantees and what they are, because I don't want to have, I'm a huge supporter of NATO. I don't want them in NATO. I'm sorry, huge supporter of Ukraine. I don't want them in NATO and have an Article 5 type protection, because we don't know what Ukraine could be like several years from now. Just to point out a couple things. In 2004, Ukraine was pro-Russian, right? And then in 2010, they switched, became pro-Western. 2014, back to pro-Russian, and now they're pro-Western. So look, we have to be careful because we don't know what Ukraine will be 4, 5, 10 years now. They've changed a number of times over the last 25 years. So we need to be careful. But I think that's the way, the path we're going down is the path forward.
Naomi, I want to play you a hot mic moment that many found fascinating.
That's all we ask for, is fairness with the media. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for being so fair.
All the time.
But he loves it. He loves it. For he does it always. I never want to speak with my friends.
She says she never wants to speak to her press army. I can't say I blame her. And there was a lighter moment in today's meeting with President Zelensky and Donald Trump, and President Zelensky's attire was noted.
President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good.
I said the one that attacked you last time. See, now I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed. You are not.
Maybe yours is much better.
Army, Trump has overseen around half a dozen peace deals this year. Most of them no one has heard much about, really, Azerbaijan and Armenia, the Congo and Rwanda. But this is a war, the Ukrainian-Russian war, that the West, and including Americans, have been deeply invested in from the start. Can you realistically see an end to it?
Yeah, look, first of all, really quick on Trump and Meloni and the press thing. Yeah, Trump has, just to give you a point of reference, Trump did 3 times as many press conferences and interviews as Joe Biden, despite the fact that the media was an appendage, right, to the Democratic propaganda machine, and were against Donald Trump. No, he loves going up to the press. He loves the challenge. He wants to change them. He frankly likes, between you and me, he likes to have the adulation of the press when he can, the mainstream press in particular. Look, when it comes to this particular conflict, you know, it's so funny. You know, you mentioned a couple of conflicts, and I don't want to pass through them without go into more detail, because it's important stuff. I was in Rwanda. I was in Azerbaijan. I saw firsthand the level of the hatred that these two sides had for each other. And for them to come to a peace deal now, after years and years of war and hatred, is nothing to be passed over lightly. Those are significant things.
Oh, no.
Not to mention the Abraham Accords that he put together, right? And the fact that he took 2 even more implacable enemies, the Gulf states and Israel, to come to a peace deal. Yet, did he win a Nobel Peace Prize? No, of course not. In fact, one of the Nobel Peace Prize committee members specifically called out Trump and said, I hate his immigration policy, right? When they don't really talk out. No, he has a track record of bringing implacable enemies together to create peace. So do I think peace will come during his 4 years between Putin and Ukraine? Absolutely, I do. And I don't think he'll get an iota of credit for it.
Well, he's also accused of being an isolationist. but he's just anti-war, isn't he, Army? Because he's got involved in these conflicts. Armenia, Azerbaijan, that's been going for decades, and he got involved, and there's a peace deal, and he had the two leaders sitting next to him signing a peace deal. So this whole notion that he's just recklessly isolationist isn't accurate, is it?
It's totally false. And by the way, much to the surprise, the isolationists in the Republican Party, who thought that's exactly what he was going to do. No, that's never been. America first does not mean America only. How many times do we have to say this over and over again? And he's the creator of America first. So I'm going to trust his version of how he's going to go about that than I do J.D. Vance or anybody else. OK, no, all that means is that we look to what we need for us. At the same time, peace through strength. When we're stronger, when we're taken care of, we have more leverage with other countries. That's exactly what we've seen him do.
Exactly. You nailed it there, Army. Peace through strength. Army Horowitz, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Always a pleasure.
Joining me now is comedian and host of Prime Time with Alex Stein on Blaze TV. Alex, you're all about fitness. I know you were all over this story today. Secretary of Health Robert F. Kennedy Jr. challenged Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth to a pull-up and push-up competition. Let's have a quick look.
We had our big Pete and Bobby challenge today. 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups. You try to get under 5 minutes. How'd you do?
We got close. I was about 5:25. You were right behind me.
We had a couple of Marines here.
One beat 3 minutes, a couple beat 4 minutes. Pretty impressive.
Incredible, Alex. It would take me approximately 6 days to complete that. It's a different America now. That administration is so markedly different to what came before.
Well, Rita, you're exactly right. You know what's crazy about that is the fact that RFK is 71 and he's able to do that in his age. So, you know, he is in incredible shape. But what was so glaring, if you watch that clip, is the fact that he's doing that in blue jeans, Rita. I mean, that just shows you how big of a beast he is. You know, when he works out, he doesn't even need workout clothes. So, you know, I know Pete Hegseth ended up winning the competition by a few seconds, but I believe the fact that RFK did that in jeans, he was a real winner, in my opinion.
In jeans, and yeah, his age, he's just incredibly fit, and he's all about making America healthy again. Maha. Now, sticking with RFK Jr., his wife, actress Cheryl Hines, who's been described as the nicest person in Hollywood. Well, she's being iced out of Larry David's new HBO project, which is being produced by Barack and Michelle Obama's production company, because of the man she's married to. Alex, if this report is accurate, then this is just so appalling from Larry David and everyone associated with this project.
Well, you know, it is really sad because Larry David is a comedic genius. Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm. But, you know, he also wrote a paper trivializing the Holocaust when he said that he would be friends with Hitler. You know, obviously he was doing that facetiously. So Larry David has Trump derangement syndrome, and the fact that he's alienating an actress that he worked with for, I believe, over 10 years, it just shows you that, you know, politics is more important than friendship to some of these people, and it's really sad. I feel bad for Cheryl Hines, you know, in this situation. It's really unfortunate for her.
Well, she played his wife in Curb Your Enthusiasm. She was a part of every season of that, and she's so good. She's funny. She's, as I said, been described as the nicest person in Hollywood. So for her to be punished, not really for her politics, because she hasn't been political at all. She's just stood by her man, her husband, and that could see her lose acting gigs, Alex.
I know. And you know what's funny is that there's actually been rumors that, you know, RFK and her were actually, you know, having issues because she wasn't conservative enough. So she's able to, you know, be in a marriage with a guy that she's not even 100% politically aligned with. So it shows you that she's obviously a nice person. She's obviously a caring person, and the kind of compassion that she shows her husband, that's not the same compassion that Larry David wants to, you know, give to one of his co-stars for, you know, the entire run of his very successful show, Curb Your Enthusiasm. So, you know, I just wish these people were more empathetic to people and not judging them based on who they voted for.
And of course, RFK Jr. was a Democrat, so his politics, the Democrats really departed from his type of politics. They've gone so far left. They're well, almost unrecognisable. Now, let's talk about The View co-host Ana Navarro, who has begged musical icon Gloria Gaynor to reject her upcoming Kennedy Center Award because it's going to be awarded by President Donald Trump. Oh dear, Ana Navarro wrote, "I wish she wouldn't accept an award from the hands of a man who has attacked the rights and history of women, people of colour, and LGBTQ." Alex, LGBTQ, she's missing about 6 letters there. How bigoted of her. But really, is Gloria Gaynor copying criticism or pressure not to take this honour?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's much pressure coming from Ana Navarro. I mean, I know she does have a big gravitational pull, but, you know, to be honest, though, with Ana, just like the great Gloria Gaynor song, she will survive, and Gloria Gaynor deserves this award. And it just shows you that Trump is not a racist. Trump is not, you know, a xenophobic. He's not homophobic. And the fact that Ana Navarro is so upset about this, where she's telling the person not, you know, telling Gloria not to accept an award from the president of the United States. These people have lost the plot. They don't actually care about, you know, they all preach, oh, we need to come together and we need to, you know, fix the problems of America. You only create more problems when you do stunts like this. So Ana Navarro, absolutely ridiculous.
Be very interesting to see what happens. I wonder if she'll accept it, but she'll, you know, there'll be a bit of a stunt where she'll make a statement or rebuke the president in some way. We'll wait and see, because there is certainly a lot of pressure from the entertainment world not to be there, and it shouldn't be that way, but it is. Now, Alex, we're seeing sorority dances go viral on social media. The woke hate it, but there are thousands of young women across America taking part in this trend.
Drop it.
I love it. There are so many others. That's just a small compilation. Alex, explain to my audience what's happening there, the recruitment drives that are behind this. We don't have sororities, frats really in Australian universities. So explain what's happening there.
So these sororities and fraternities have a thing called Rush, where they're trying to get new members into their sorority or fraternity. And so they put out these videos in order to encourage, you know, girls to rush their sorority. But what's so crazy about this video is that the fact that people get triggered and upset seeing young, happy people having fun on college campuses. And God bless the Greek system, because I'm telling you, these kids learn more from the Greek system than they do probably from their teachers that are teaching them God knows what about LGBTQ, or who knows what they're actually teaching
exactly
in these colleges. So, but the one thing I want to say, though, when it comes to Greek life, America's manufacturing might be down, but there's no shortage of beautiful people being made in this country. And I think that proves it right there when you see all those young people and, you know, how vibrant and good America looks. They are a good representation.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alex Stein. Always a pleasure.